All right, welcome everyone to Hunting for Silver Linings for this Wednesday, September 9, 2020. Hosted today by myself, Corey Hart of Startup Grind, Grand Rapids here in the Great Lakes region of the United States. And we have our very special guest. We have Gabriella joining us. She is the chapter director of two chapters, both chapters over there in Croatia. Um, we are brought to you by Startup Grind, the world's largest startup community. We have 600 plus chapters in over 125 countries. And we operate with a mission to educate, inspire, and connect. We're also driven by three key values. That's make friends, not contacts, help others before you help yourself, and give before you take. And we do this program because this pandemic has been and will continue to be the great global leveler. And as entrepreneurs, we need to do our very best for our businesses, our teams, and our families. And we need to be rational, informed, analytical, and rigorous in our thinking. We should also learn to control our biases as they emerge in various circumstances. Of course, everyone's invited to join live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday as we track the intersection of facts, biases, and action through our check-ins and real talk with Startup Grind chapter directors, entrepreneurs, and ecosystem stakeholders from across the world. And yes, no one has a crystal ball, but if we keep our eyes and ears open and pay attention, we may be able to see around the bend and with some luck, spot the silver linings that are around every cloud. So if you missed the live events, you can, of course, see the recordings online at startupgrind.com/grand-rapids and on our Startup Grind YouTube channel. So with that, I'm really excited to introduce everyone to Gabriella. Hello, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, actually, for having me. It's such a pleasure.
So what we love to do is learn a little bit more about the chapter directors that are the mayors of their ecosystems. So maybe a little history on your personal background, what drew you to entrepreneurship and tech, and then finally, like, how did you get involved with Startup Grind?
Yeah, thank you, Corey. So I'm managing currently the Startup Grind chapter in Rijeka and soon enough in Zagreb in Croatia. I'm the CEO and founder of Series Global Academic Diplomacy 4.0, which became quickly the leading NGO based in Rome in Italy. And we're operating in the sector of education, culture, science, and innovation. We were founded to actually implement the Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals. So a lot of what I do is related to sustainability projects. I've also been a co-founder of an AI deep tech startup company. I would say that I love impact innovation events and hackathons, as I've been part of many of them in Eurasia and Africa. And yeah, so I work with clean tech clusters for urban environment, academic institutions, where basically I'm again teaching and lecturing on several topics. Mainly it's on law and new disruptive technologies, sustainable development, and science diplomacy. Previously, I worked within three diplomatic missions in Rome. And so my duty was to coordinate the work to be done with the United Nations agencies that we have in Italy. Then I've covered digital and cybersecurity matters in a multinational management consulting firm. And I would say many other different sectors came across in between what I've just said. But I definitely learned how to navigate the different sectors, how to be independent, how to critically think, I would say, and just the ideal of building a community with Startup Grind was really something that I loved the idea of. And I'm seeing that all the effort is actually paying off because the main core goal with Startup Grind Rijeka, for example, is to actually promote the city of Rijeka and its region as the technology center of Croatia. And I've just been very lucky, I would say, with the local partners who were really able to pick up very quickly the call for action, the will to really elevate Rijeka, that currently is the third city in Croatia. It's a beautiful city on the sea with an amazing history. So, for example, perhaps just a fun fact for someone who did not visit Rijeka yet is that you could have 6 passports in less than 100 years by living just in one city. And today, actually, in the year 2020, Rijeka is the European Capital of Culture. So due to COVID, it's obvious that a lot of events did not materialize, but a lot of them are now regaining their, I would say, path, and they are, if nothing else, keeping events running for as much as they can. So yeah, that's I guess shortly about what I do. If you definitely want to know no more, I'll be happy to. Yeah.
So that with such a broad background and experience, and especially travel and different responsibilities, what is what is the personally your favorite thing about what you're doing right now? Like what makes you excited about waking up and doing this work?
Oh, I love this question actually because there's so many things that I love. I guess the just implementing ideas, so doing amazing things. So whatever literally is impact driven that can actually support the local communities, that can fight massive bankruptcies that we have currently due to COVID. Again, any solution that can actually support the overall work, whether it's in the education field or anything else, it's something that I'm generally very passionate about. And I guess that for now, the main core focus is in any case going to be creating as many education programs and courses and workshops, and we're publishing a lot of books and scientific publications with the aim to really support the communities, not in Croatia, around the world. We're working with many countries around the world, the US actually included, and we're just seeing that education is key in anything, in setting the mindset, the right mindset, and the kind of leading a successful kind of life, if you want to put it that way. So we're just really trying to make universities more strategic so that students gain more practical skills. So even the research that is done, for example, within our research center in Sirius, we are really committed to get more practicalities out there. So we're kind of working on reverse engineering, if you can say that way, because we're not starting from the theory, we're starting from the needs, from what is actually the core miss right now in a specific country, and we do it with our partners that are part of our network of leading universities and research centers. And so it's just an amazing energy that lies around all of these people, because they're just really great doers, I would say. They love what they do, and I guess the overall energy is what keeps you again awake late in the night, and just want to get as many success stories as possible out, so that both the universities and the teams, the research teams, and everyone involved can really say, okay, actually supported the economy overall, because every single solution that is implemented, whether it's a new NGO, whether it's a startup, or whether it's a company, a foundation, or literally whatever kind of legal entity, it's still contributing to to getting things out and to actually, you know, really supporting the overall, I would say community, as we like to say it. So
Sure, yeah. Yeah, when we talk, usually I have my colleague George on these interviews with me, and he is a professor here in at a local university, and he's working on innovation in that space. So he would be really
amazing.
excited to be connected with what you're doing, because he's challenging universities, especially our smaller ones
Yes,
here in the United States, to think a little bit differently. And nothing spurs innovation like a crisis. And it's
true.
not like universities were excellent models of what they did before COVID. This is just a really good opportunity for them to try and stay relevant, because we're in a space where, while a lot of like supply chains are shrinking and going within borders, whether that's like steel or durable goods and so on, but the the ecosystem of ideas and education and access to such things is so much more democratized because of technology. And then we have hopefully the emergence of greater access to technology through fixing the issues of infrastructure, whether that's Elon Musk and all of his satellites, et cetera, so that everyone can access education. And and there's been no better time globally. I know that in different regions and even within different cities, it's different, but globally, there's no better time in generations than to create a life for ourselves.
Yeah.
But we, of course, have to advocate for ourselves a lot of times. Anyway, so on the topic of
Yeah.
education, which is huge, that leads into talent. So talent is a big part of any ecosystem. There in Croatia, our universities, are they graduating students with the skills they need to be successful entrepreneurs or to launch products or ideas, or is
Right.
there a mismatch there?
Right. So I would say it this way. So one of the partners actually of Startup Grind Rijeka is the Faculty of Engineering in Zagreb, called FAIR, which is the best faculty that we have in terms of technical faculty. We have an amazing number of students, pupils actually reaching out to that, applying, sorry, to that faculty, and not all of them are accepted because of the high demand, but there is a reason why they're applying there, right? Because from I think the first at the end of the first beginning of the second year, those students already have their jobs, kind of job contracts ready. So it's just incredible how this faculty, for example, is really preparing, specialists that are so in demand and they're so good that they go to multinational companies building, softwares for the biggest, companies that we all know. And it's just amazing how, for example, this is, a success story in, in Croatia that I'm personally very proud of. So this is something that is a good model. They're like a small faculty, but literally very, very strong. And I would say when you come to think of talent, and you've mentioned this, I guess more times today, Croatia has actually a lot of talent. So I think we just need to change the mindset, or maybe even have less sunny days because that is kind of an issue, because there is just a funny how to say, a funny situation that I have with my colleagues, and we just laugh once I'm in Croatia here and doing my business from here. Then if someone has a problem, then we just say, oh well, okay, let's go to the beach. But that's just, of course, a kidding situation. We don't just go to the beach, we solve the problems. But the idea is really that and that I'm seeing that in Mediterranean countries and sunny countries in general, it's actually pretty difficult to pick between work and
Yeah.
sea and leisure time. But the talent is here, so the mindset definitely needs to be kind of polished, I would say. But again, Croatia is the country where Nikola Tesla was born, right? So you mentioned Musk, so Tesla, the whole idea of cars is electric car started from Tesla, right? And he actually built we would call it today a prototype in the startup world, but he actually built it back then, so more than a century ago, and he just didn't find the right investors, as we are finding, for example, today, that not all the investors are ready to invest in impact-driven solutions. This is exactly one of my missions, not only with Startup Grind, but also with Sirius and the Impact Innovation Alliance that we've started recently, and that actually came out from the EU versus virus program of the European Commission that we've also partnered with, and we're just pledged to a lot of projects and winning teams, and it's just amazing to see the progress that we are now making. And so the idea here is really to focus on the talent and the mindset. So the talent is here, we just need to kind of polish it and to get it ready for the international community, because thinking big is actually, it's thinking small, I would say, because we are one globe. There is, I'm just thinking, there is just 7 billion of us in the world. And why focus just on one country? So Croatia is, 4.5 million, I would say, citizens, plus that much people out somewhere in other countries in the world.
Sure. Yep.
So 9-10 million Croatians around. So the idea is really, don't think in just your community, don't think in just your region or your country or everything. Just go global. Try to literally, revolutionize the world, not because this is ambitious, but really because you can. So just find reliable partners, team members, obviously. And I know that it's easy to say, but I can literally say that we're now building so many incredible communities from scratch. So the international medical community that is also powered by Sirius. We're just having so many volunteers coming from all around the world, and we just really want to tackle those issues that the healthcare left behind, right? So the healthcare sector, as we're seeing it now, in general, it wasn't a sector that is susceptible to innovation.
Right.
It's really important right now for all of our countries to kind of get on track and to actually have an adequate access to healthcare. So I can actually talk a lot about this because
Sounds like it.
no, I'm just like full. I didn't have any vacation this year, so I was just like actually working, and I'm still in working mode. And I have so many experience and so many stories to tell that it's just incredible. And
Well, I wish we had more time. And you bring up a really good point there, that healthcare and public health are two different things. And unfortunately, in health innovation, it's not public health that often drives that innovation. Here in our region, we have a bunch of research hospitals, like just maybe less than a kilometer from where I live, and a lot of innovations happening, a lot of money's being spent, but it's not necessarily going to help a lot of people. So, but it's incredible. You're speaking about global initiatives and people coming together. What we're seeing with obviously the vaccines and the drive towards tackling this pandemic is inspirational. And then also the fears that we might not be getting the transparency that we're looking for, say from announcements out of Russia. But then we have a global pharmaceutical firm. Just was it yesterday? They announced like, "Yep, sorry, we gotta pump the brakes on this vaccine because it might not be as effective as we thought." No one likes saying that, right? Especially to a global audience, and you're still slave to that stock price. Anyway, so we talked a little bit about talent. And then one of the sectors there, or two, education and health. What are some of the maybe sectors in Croatia that people from the outside might not be aware of that you have as specialty?
Right. So I can, again, definitely attest that Croatia has a brilliant engineering mind. So anything related to engineering, IT, we're literally, a small country with a lot of talent that is literally very good in what it does. We have some very, I would say, silent companies in Croatia, because I mean they do not perhaps do too much advertisement here, but they're actually revolutionizing the way telecommunication in the world works. So and they're located not far from from Rijeka itself. It's a 1 hour drive. We have electric cars are like, we have a manufacturer that is supporting Porsche in its endeavor to have electric cars. So that is also being built in Croatia. We have well, the tourism, it's obvious, like the tourism sector, it's really obvious. I don't want to even mention it, but perhaps in this field, I could just point to the fact that soon you will have available the digital nomad visa for Croatia. So whoever wants to experience the beach, sun plus work
Right.
kind of situation, that can be available very soon, and that's something that, for example, can definitely not only boost tourism, but definitely another type of standard of life of whoever wants just to live by the beach
Yeah.
and still be connected. So that's something I guess cool.
How long will that visa be good for?
Oh, that's actually a very good question. I'm not, very aware of the timings, but I can definitely inform myself. I just know that right now this is in the preparation. It's a preparatory, process. So everything will be, updated and official very soon. But in any
Sure.
case, that's I guess just a teaser that later
Right.
on
Well,
you can be picking up on. Yeah.
yeah, the travel sector is growing in many different parts. Clearly, if you own an airline, it's different. But if you're a travel booking company, or if you're in a beautiful seaside city like yourself, there's opportunities because people are, I think it's people looking for trips of a month or longer is like up by 170%, like last
Yep.
month. So some areas of the world are just packed with tourists. So, and more so of these digital nomads like you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I
Mm,
have, if I am a young entrepreneur, I just graduated university from this, and I'm lucky enough to live in Croatia where my time was well spent and I have all these skills. Do I is it smart for me to start my organization because I have an idea already? Is it smart for me to stay in Croatia and start my idea? Is it easy to do this, or do people leave and then come back?
right. Well, I think there's a lot of to unpack here because there is one major, I guess, um, starting point could be the fact that in Croatia right now you don't have a startup legislation. So eventually, if you want to open like a startup company, then you would be opening something like the YDOO, which you can open, I think, for a euro and a half. It's like $2, even less. And that's very quick. So if you want just to operate and be, quick, I mean, this really doesn't take much time. So it's really something that I guess everyone can do. Yeah, so that's something that is pretty easy to establish. I don't think, that I mean, the taxes in general, it's a big thing for entrepreneurs in general to think about. I guess the rate in Europe is more or less the same here and there. So that's again something that where you're based, if you want to have actually your stable location here, it actually makes sense, because you can make profit even if you're located in a smaller location.
Sure.
As soon as you have a stable internet connection, everything else is possible. So I think that actually a lot of we're actually having a lot of digital nomads relocating here and opening their small ventures or
Sure.
whatever they do. And so this is something definitely that I mean is rising. So whoever actually wants to advance his or her idea, they usually open this type of business that again is very quick. It's cheap, and then it's obviously that you need to understand in what sector do you want to operate, and again, if it's something very, very specific and the tribunal of commerce has that type of a profession in its own registry, then you can open I'm not sure how to call this in English. In Croatian, it's called obrt, which is just an entity that can give you the possibility to do just one specific profession.
Sure.
So for example, the hairdressers or like the
Yeah.
translators or everything that actually is a freelance profession, that can be opened with that type of entity. And that's even cheaper because from like a tax perspective, you just need to pay a specific amount per year, and then basically you're more or less set. So that's pretty convenient for those who want to start and then understand what they want to do. But I believe that they need to have the right certifications, because otherwise it would be impossible to justify that you're the professional in
Sure.
this one specific field.
So I have my idea now. I'm comfortable with the fact that I can do it and stay in Croatia. Now let's and I'm getting some traction, some early traction. So it's a good idea, right? Is it popular to look for an accelerator or incubator to get in to get funding, or am I easily able to find friends and family? Is the mindset like, okay, yeah, we'd love to support new ideas in tech, or are there pitch events type things? Is it corporations that are looking for ideas? Do I go back into the university and scale my idea there? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. So actually, in 2020, so this year, there will be 5 new private equity funds in Croatia coming to the market. And so basically the total venture capital fund would be something of 42 million euros available for investing in early stage and startup companies, by providing both financing and expertise that obviously need to support the entrepreneurial ideas. And so this year, actually, these five new private equity funds are expected to come to market with a total of something about 235 million euros. So for Croatia, this is a pretty okay-ish amount, and so far we have a couple of venture capitals and private equity funds that are definitely investing
And these
in
funds,
local international.
sorry to interrupt. These funds,
Yeah.
they're all private funds, or are there public funds also?
Right. So, yes, they are private funds, but right now, basically, um, the two or to even three funds that are going to be created this year are going to be supported by the Croatian Growth Investment Program.
Okay.
So that is basically we call it CRO-GIP in Croatian, and this is actually a public investment that will be funded both by the EIF and the HBOR, which is basically the our public institution that is managing investments. So yeah, it's basically going to be a joint success, and the objective actually is to support Croatian small and medium enterprises. Again, they don't call it startups because we don't have a startup legislation yet. So
Yeah,
that's why they're all kind of SMEs right now.
sure.
Yeah, but basically the idea here is really to attract private equity investment to Croatia more and more, and to really, change the mindset, try to really understand the interest that the different again stakeholders could have in order to actually invest in Croatia. That's obvious. Everyone has some interest, but in this specific situation, and I think the overall lockdown showed that we definitely need to be having solutions that are impact driven in core, and really then start from this core basic kind of value, I would say.
Yeah, it's important to have a spot where entrepreneurs feel comfortable and investors feel comfortable coming together and
Right.
safe in building companies and investing in companies. That level of safety, governance, et cetera. It's really exciting to hear that that you guys are accelerating that process and being more inclusive to getting these opportunities within country. So, all right. So are there accelerators and incubators that I can apply to and get involved in? Like if I'm coming at, say I have one of these digital nomad visas in the future,
Mm-hmm.
and so okay, I land. I'm in Rijeka. What is it? Yeah.
Yeah, Rijeka.
Oh, Rijeka. All right. So I land there and I just come off the plane. I've got my idea. My team is distributed across the planet. Like, how do I find my people? Are there more than just like Startup Grind? Are there other organizations? Is there other parts of the ecosystem? Like I said, can I walk into an accelerator or a incubator
Right.
and say, hi, I have an idea. What does it take to be here?
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm very happy that with Startup Grind we partnered with almost all of them that are present in Rijeka, and some of them also in Zagreb. So when you come, for example, when you land to Rijeka, we have several, again, programs. So the city of Rijeka is leading the startup the Rijeka Startup Incubator, and this is a program that is actually I think it's 8 months long, so it's a pretty long one
Yeah.
that gives you the possibility to actually have a variety of mentors, and they support you along the way. So you have a lot of workshops. You can obviously work for free in their spaces. You can utilize everything that they're providing with, and that's definitely a good starting point for very young entrepreneurs, or those who never understood how to create a company from scratch.
Right.
So if, for example, I don't know, you move to Croatia and but you don't have a job, but you have a great idea, this is the place to be, because actually it gives you from, you know, A to Z some basics from where to start from. It's free, so it's funded by the city. But there is a selection process, so in any case, you need to get in first. Yeah, so that's one of the programs you have. Then the step 3, which is the part of the technological park of the city, which is led by the University of Rijeka itself. And they have also many, you know, programs that support startups and mentors, and they're having also some, you know, special startup programs with the US Embassy, if I'm not mistaken, and other, you know, entities like this. Ultimately, you can also apply to the Rijeka Development Agency. They're now actually in September opening their production halls in the former torpedo fabric. And by the way, Rijeka was the city where torpedo was invented, and it was pretty a big deal, you know, back in the last century.
Sure.
And so yeah, the tobacco, sorry, not the tobacco, the torpedo factory right now is partially opening for the you know, production of anything that you can imagine, so 3D printers
Sure.
and machinery for whatever you like. And so this is something that, for example, if you're an engineer, or if you have like a project that that needs a prototyping, you know, process to be, you know, dealt with, then you can definitely apply to, you know, for this agency. And that's an exciting journey as well. And actually don't need to have the engineering skills to prototype this, because you're actually not allowed to touch the machinery because it's way too expensive.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so the professionals, you know, the engineers who are actually working on this are doing that for you. So you just need to give them the design, and then everything else is carried out, and you can just go to the beach. I
That's
guess.
right. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, go to the beach, come back tomorrow. We'll have it ready for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
That's great.
I mean, I think that you already understand the benefits, you know,
Yeah.
of coming here. Yeah. So this is when it comes to Rijeka. In Zagreb, we have, you know, the Founders Institute, the Impact Hub, the, I mean, several other incubators and accelerators that are having really, you know, big halls where a lot of startups are there. Yeah, and then we have also the SPOC, which is like a career center of the fair of the faculty I've talked to before. And they're also having, you know, this incubation process within their own faculty. So for example, if you are a very young entrepreneur, or your parents want to, you know, relocate to Croatia, then, you know, if you are like having an entrepreneurial and slash engineering kind of spirit and mind, then if you go to fair and, you know, you apply to this type of again program, a lot can be done, because they're really getting strong stakeholders in, and, you know, the sponsorship list is super long, so you
Sure.
basically can definitely find someone who will be interested in supporting you. Yeah, and actually also in Rijeka, we have at the University of Rijeka, I mean, soon actually it will be, this will be open, the AI Center. So that's also one of the reasons why I'm very much focused on getting a key strategic partnership with our colleagues in India. And we already started building, you know, several events through Startup Grind, and also other workshops that actually facilitate this type of human capital and know-how, because again, we've seen that India is just really amazing when it comes to AI, ML, and a lot of great minds come from this country. So if we merge the potential that both countries have, and seeing the different geolocation, then this can be definitely interesting. So yeah, that's also one of the I would say core strategic pillars of the Startup Grind chapter here
Yeah,
in Croatia, because I really want to advance this type of partnership and get more and more uh, basically international startups forming through this type of partnership with our Indian colleagues. So if you need someone with those skills, let's try to find someone with the engineering background, the business background, or any other background here in Croatia. Well, we can find a very good also IT or AI specialist in India, and
sure.
so we can by that foster really the creation of new ventures, international ventures from the very start. So yeah, that's actually also something that can be done. And in that case, for example, if it's an international team, you can apply to both countries' incubators and accelerators available. So that's kind of a win-win situation as well.
Very cool. It's exciting to hear that there's so much interest in collaboration beyond your immediate region, uh, and being able to ignore places like Silicon Valley, because it's it's while it has a lot of gravity, it's not the end all. It's not the answer for everything. So. We have just a few minutes left. I want to ask about opportunities um, for equity, as far as like gender equity, et cetera. What's
Mhm.
what's the mindset? What's it like for women in tech, women in entrepreneurial positions, business, getting access to funding, any kind of specific barriers or programs that are out there to help women in business or other minorities?
All right. Well, when it comes, to Croatia in general, I think that we are somewhere in the middle when it comes to, equality indexes, and so there is definitely progress to be made. But we're something like the 22nd in the EU on the gender equality index. So that's something that again. Can be worked. So it goes at a slower pace. This is what I can tell you, but it's definitely we're not there. We're not in a position, where I don't know, the females are feeling, female leaders are feeling. I don't know, neglected or anything, but we definitely need to strengthen the position of women by actually putting them on the same kind of level of credibility, I would
Hmm.
say, before some investors or anything, because this is definitely an issue not just for Croatia, but I think still for the whole world, and every single country has this type of
Absolutely.
issue. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting topic to tackle. But we had, the first president female not that long ago, so she just finished her tenure. And that was something that, for example, was pretty exciting. We also had, prime ministers that like long ago already, also female. We've actually one of the top EU um, um, figures are from Croatia, and she's female, and she was the former Minister of Foreign Affairs. And so they're definitely on an international stage. If you see Croatia from afar, there's definitely a lot of female positions in key roles. But on a more I would say grounded level, there's still, some, again, mindset, as I've said before, that needs to be changed, because I'm seeing this actually on my own skin sometimes. So I'm in general ignoring all such kind of, situations that are actually very rare to, my, I mean, I'm actually very surprised that it's very rare that it happens to me. But I can definitely see, that the older the older generation still had this type of stigma that no, women cannot even drive, so let them just sit and be the secretary or just type some notes and be pretty and smiling. So there is some situations that definitely I was regarded as as an assistant while I was actually signing the contract with the guy. So I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm actually thinking of not signing this contract anymore. So this is the situation that sometimes it's very uncomfortable, and I'm saying this from a personal perspective, but uncomfortable not for me but for them, because I'm like, oh my god, you're so um, you have I just don't even know how to express myself to be not that outspoken when it comes to this.
Outspoken. I think it's
Yes.
okay to call people Neanderthals. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it's just like, small-minded, people are thinking the way I've just described. So, and you cannot change the generational kind of, thinking and mindset right now, because it is what it is. But again, coming back to education, this is also one of the reasons why it's very important that we teach, our kids or future kids, to really have respect. So it's all about respect. Nobody thinks about anything else, but I think that everything comes down to listening, to applying, and definitely, I mean, women have what to show, and the different possibilities that are coming across are actually also thanks to women. So
Sure. And
yeah.
the statistics are out there. There's enough research that shows that women run better businesses. So last question, and I'll let you go. What can the overall global startup grind community do for Gabriella? What can we do for you?
Oh my God, this is like the fish wish, the golden fish. Okay. Well, first of all, I would really like to, you know, even open some program that can be just supporting the acceleration of the impact-driven solutions that we have, not only in Croatia but in the region. Because again, I don't think that thinking in just one country or one city dimension is the right path here, because it's, again, Croatia is really small. So if we take it, to the statistics. From the statistics point of view, in any case, you'll have, solutions that are great, solutions that are not that great. So if you want to have a better poll from where to choose from, I definitely think that we need to pick the whole country, or at least the region. And yeah, so just perhaps supporting some bigger regional project that can actually support and bring some very, very cool ideas to life that I've actually also listened to on different not only panels, but I'm mentoring and judging a lot of also startups, and I'm just saying that a lot of them have really great ideas, but they don't have the right amount of access to funding. So
Right.
that's definitely something that is still not in Croatia, but in Europe, we're still lacking with that.
Yeah,
The
impact
mindset.
enterprises
Yeah,
have a hard time.
yeah,
Doing something because it's right is not often the way to find funding. A lot of
right.
times you have to disguise your venture as a for profit.
Right. No, but that's the point. So
Hmm.
the impact-driven solutions are sustainable.
Hmm.
So the whole point of, everything that we do is actually to change investors' mindset. Because
Yeah,
if something is impact-driven, it doesn't mean that it's not sustainable
right.
or that is not profitable. It's just that you actually need, you have at core the benefit also of the local communities where you're implementing this, but this doesn't mean that you want profit from this. So there is a huge difference, and there's
Yep.
still a lot of work to be done. But yeah, the investors gap, it's still here, and the readiness, I would say, to invest in early stage ideas is something that we definitely need to change, because it's not like in Silicon Valley. The opportunities are still a
Right.
little bit lacking. Yeah.
Yep. Do you know, you familiar with Alex at the startup program?
Maybe I've just heard of him. I'm not sure I've ever, crossed paths
Okay.
with him and actually talked to him.
Yeah, I was just reaching out to Alex and just asking for 30 minutes of his time. I think what you bring up is a really important point, that it is differentiated. There is a difference between like impact funds and what they look for, and a regular like mindset or a
Yeah,
different mindset. Traditional maybe is a better word.
yeah.
And our startup program, so we have like almost 1,000 startups in our startup program from all over the planet. However, they are not really differentiated into different tracks. Like
Mm-hmm.
they got their sectors and so on.
Yeah,
It might be real interesting to propose an idea that we should have someone at that startup program level curating a whole a whole section of like, these are impact organizations,
yeah.
and like our startup program is curating meetings with investors daily, and these are really well intentioned, and these meetings are moving the dial for a lot of organizations. We have a founder here locally that was paired with two funds through our startup program. One was Sony
Mm-hmm.
Ventures, another one was with an organization, a medical device organization in Spain, um, and
Cool.
um, I can forward you some information about what she's doing and what the startup is and all that fun stuff
Oh,
afterwards.
yes, please.
Um, but the startup program is making meaningful differences for startups, founders, and also investors looking for opportunities. However, I think there is, to your point, a bigger need and opportunity for us to have a segment maybe that is like, hey, these are the impact companies over here. Like,
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
this group. So we're kind of at the end of our hour here. I feel you have places you'd rather be. So I'll let you get to the rest of your evening. And I just want to tell you how grateful I am for you taking the time to let us understand a little bit more about you personally, and then also open our eyes to the opportunity that is Croatia in the region. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you so much for the invitation. It was really a pleasure.
And one day I'll be laying on a beach just a few steps away.
Exactly. I'm waiting for that moment.
All right. All right. Have a great evening. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Ciao.